On the Autocar show today, we drive Honda's new SUV, the BRV. There's the all-new Toyota Innova Krista and Autocar Confidential with Hormaz Sorabji.
Well, a packed episode for you this week on the Autocar show, but let's begin with the Honda BRV. Now, you've seen this before on our show, you've also heard a lot about it, but now it's set to hit the Indian roads. C-SUV are what Honda are terming as the segment, so it means it will be in the space of the Creta and the Duster. Well, we've got both the petrol auto with us and the manual diesel, so let's see if the BRV has what it takes. Viewed from the side, the BRV could be the Mobilio. An almost similar profile and the same rear doors with the distinctive kink could let you mistake it for its sibling. But viewed head-on, thankfully it takes on an entirely new character. The squared-out bonnet, the chunky chrome grille and the big headlights give it a muscular look. Though it has roof rails and stands 210 mm off the ground, it isn't all that high. And with the large rear overhang, it takes on a more MPV than SUV stance. The 16-inch wheels carry an attractive design, and though they are large, they land up looking quite small on the hefty body of the BRV. As for styling at the tail, there's a solid chrome shroud for the number plate mount and a reflector that runs the width of the tail to link the smart tail lamps, making the tailgate rather flashy. The tail scores more for practical reasons rather than pure aesthetics. The large rear windscreen offers good visibility and the tailgate extends low down, which makes loading and unloading luggage easy. The good bit about the BRV is that it packs a lot into its long body, and even with all the seats up, you can get 2 trolley-sized bags in easily. And for airport runs, the seats flip and fold to open up a mass of room. Whilst the exterior may have carried the Mobilio genetics, the interior is more shared with the updated Amaze. There are a lot of nice materials here which I like. This carbon fiber-like finish which gives it quite an upmarket feel. There's accents of chrome-looking matte plastic which highlight it. Overall, the dashboard has a lot of cuts and contours and too many lines, I feel, but it's still something that I could live with long term. There are things that I miss, however. One is a touchscreen, especially considering the segment, and a reverse camera. The car's infotainment system, however, does feature Bluetooth for telephony and audio streaming. Although it is manual, mention must be made of the light and easy to use driver's height seat adjust as well. Now, some of the features that will be offered on the top spec versions are automatic climate control, steering mounted audio buttons, push button start, electrically foldable outside rear view mirrors and rear aircon vents. Overall, it's a nice airy interior with comfortable seats, but let's check the middle row. Now, I've got the front seat in my driving position, as you can see, there's ample legroom over here. But even if a taller person was driving, I think you'd have enough space in this back seat. The scooped out back of the front seat opens up more legroom for the passengers. You do have the rear aircon vent as well for comfort. Now, I've got this middle row in the most reclined position, so it's supremely comfortable. But should I want to open up room for the third row of passengers, I can raise the backrest and I can slide the seat forward, and even with it all the way forward, there is enough room. The BRV at 4456 mm in length is the longest in the segment too, but it loses out in width. So although the floorboard is flat enough for the third passenger, the narrow body of the BRV would make it a tight squeeze. But then, it does make room elsewhere. The BRV biggest advantage really is that third row of seats where it opens up room for extra passengers. One touch tumble makes it very easy to get in. And what I've done is I've actually put the middle row a little way forward. As you can see, there's enough leg room here. I do sit knees up. Still, there is room enough for an adult. The BRV comes with the familiar ID Tech and IV Tech engines we see in the City, Jazz and Amaze. Let's begin with the popular choice, diesel. Now, this diesel engine definitely feels more refined and quieter than before, but it's still not as quiet as a Duster or a Creta. The 1.5-litre engine produces 100 HP and 200 Nm of torque, and it puts it out in a linear manner with power kicking in quite low down. Now power really kicks in at the 1500 RPM mark in this diesel engine, and from there on till the 4000 RPM red line, it pulls cleanly, nicely and strongly. You'll find that when you're cruising out on a highway, you won't need to work the gears much because you pretty much stay above that 1500 RPM mark. So you just have to put your foot down and you can get a move on. But if you do drop below that mark, you will find that it takes a little while to react. And then it's just better to shift a gear down to get a move on. The first and second gear are really short and you find yourself hitting the red line very quickly. When you do shift gears, it's a nice positive short throw and a light clutch, which means city driving will be easy. Diesel buyers can also expect good fuel efficiency. Honda claims 21.9 kilometers per litre, making this version of the BRV the most fuel efficient of the small SUVs. Now before you ask, no, there will be no automatic version for the diesel. Now though diesels are popular, what's gaining more and more popularity these days are automatics, and the BRV does offer a petrol auto too. Now this auto box will really make light of driving in city traffic. This auto box, however, is a CVT, so when you want to get an urgent move on and you put your foot flat to the floor, it does have that rubber band effect. And it makes the engine very, very noisy and audible. This CVT is better used on path throttle. Be gentle and it will move up and down the gears with more grace. If you get aggressive with the throttle, it will even pull right up to the very high 7000 RPM red line, which brings out the noisiest side of the engine. So in those conditions, it's best to use the paddles. You get a quick shift down without all that drama. The paddle shifts are a first in segment 2. This petrol engine builds up power at a nice brisk pace. It feels refined too.
There's also a petrol manual mated to a new 6-speed gearbox, but we did not experience that on this test drive and we'll review it as soon as we can.
The stretch of Udaipur to Mount Abu Highway gave us a chance to also stretch the engine's legs a bit, and we found both petrol and diesel would be good long-distance companions. Not only as far as performance goes, but in the way they deal with the roads too. Now, it's not really a car that you want to throw around corners, but it still goes around them reasonably well, feels planted, and the steering as well feels well weighted and gives you a good sense of security at higher speeds. So whether you want to nip in and out of traffic or settle into a cruise, you will find that the BRV will do just fine. Now, whilst we are talking on safety, we must mention that it does come with dual airbags as standard across variants. But what's worth noting is that anti-lock brakes will only be standard on the diesel BRV. The petrols will only get it on mid-range and higher versions. The ride may be a little stiff at low speeds, but it gets better as you pick up the pace, and it's okay to compromise that little stiffness at low speed for the overall flat and composed ride that you get. With both petrol and diesel engines, manual and auto on offer, the BRV has the stage set to take on the contenders. But price will play a key factor on how successful it is. We will know more about that when it is launched first week of May. Compact SUV? No, it doesn't really look very SUV, does it? Especially when you consider the competition it's up against. It's quite stretched out and looks a lot like the Mobilio, which is what we started off by saying. But then, to be fair to it, it does have that third row of seats, which others in its segment don't offer. It's also got a good set of engines, it drives nicely, it rides nicely, it's got a comfortable and spacious interior. So what the BRV offers in good doses is practicality. Now, it may not tug at your heartstrings or draw you in emotionally, but the sensible buyer will definitely appreciate its core values.